time to break some stuff down.
Okay.
You know what that means?
Hit me.
Let's go back to China Spring. Let's bring in our intrepid warrior herself, Nikki Lattarulo.
Are the lights still on?
Are the lights still on? That
Let's
is a
hope.
question, especially.
No!
They're not!
No.
Look, my first 3 years here, I cannot tell you the number of
Guys, the
times.
lights went off like
Oh, look at the mosquitoes. Oh, no.
I cannot
the
tell you
lights
the
went
number of
off like
times that this
10
happened.
minutes ago.
Okay, all right, let's start breaking down big picture tonight. Nikki, takeaways from China Spring in the game of the week.
Okay, my takeaway from China Spring is they deserve the hype that they're getting. I think Lorena is also as good as they're getting. It was just iffy to start. I think China Spring is good. I don't know, again, how they'll compare to like a big powerhouse program like they lost to in the end of the season last year, but it's still so early to see if their offense could just carry through the game. They would have had like 45 points if they played the way they played in the beginning of the game. So I think they deserve the hype. Their defense deserves also a lot of credit because they held Lorena to no points in the first half and then also carried the weight of their offense struggling in the second half. So they deserve the hype. Definitely a top 10 team, but also Lorena, like you said, best 0-2 team in the state of Texas for sure.
All right, let's move up to Class 6A real quick. Let's talk Midway. They didn't get a win. This is a really good playoff team in Odessa Permian. They played better tonight, and that Round Rock team proved how good it is. Do we feel better about the Panthers?
Go ahead, Nikki.
I think so. Permian is good, but like they're not as good as the historical Permian team is. So I think it was a pretty even matchup. And the fact that they put up 41 points is a good sign compared to last week. But then also the fact that they gave up 57 points is also like the defense that shows that they're still a little bit struggling in that area. But I think even though they didn't get a win, it shows that they took what they learned out of week one and applied it and were able to get things moving on offense, but still a lot of mistakes like that, what was it? Like a PAT fumble and then the return. So it's just like little things like that probably cost them a lot of points too. But I think Shane Anderson still has, it's like a whole new young team too. So I'm not worried, but I don't know if they're a playoff team, especially in the district that they're in. That's going to be really tough.
Too many toss-up games in District 11 6A. I wholeheartedly agree with you there. I feel better about this team. One, we saw just how good Round Rock is. I mean, we were really impressed with Belton last week. They blanked them at Tiger Field tonight. Two, you come out and you play better. You have a lead. Yeah, there's mistakes, but Shane Anderson has, he told us as the season was starting, it's a young team. It's a brand new coaching staff. It was a late coaching change, so there's going to be some bumps. They still have another non-district game, but they kind of start district play right into the meat grinder. So Midway still has some room to go. And like Nikki said, too many toss-up games as we go through.
It's a great point. That was a very late coaching change.
It was.
I mean, that 2-3 months ago?
Mid-June?
I think Nikki covered that press conference, and yeah, it was very recent.
When baseball season is over and there's still a coaching change.
Not great.
It's late.
Yeah.
Okay, let's stay in 6A. Temple tonight stubs its toe against the Magnolia West team. Is this just a sense of familiarity that is there whenever former Temple defensive coordinator Craig Martin is the head coach for the Mustangs?
It does not help Temple. I mean, when you know what's being run, when you know the system inside and out, it's not great. And he's returning home.
Right.
Come on, a little bit of.
I don't know how many years Martin was at Temple, but it was a lot. It was more than a few.
Yeah.
Nikki, are we hitting the panic button on Temple?
No, but also is Magnolia West like a really good team? Like not really. So I think they could have pulled out a win there, but I just think it's after last year's playoff victory, I think that people had high expectations, but then you still have to remember they're kind of like a small 6A playing against bigger programs, and then they have young guys. So I wouldn't panic. I want to see them play against district opponents first before we say it's a panic, because non-district is just you're playing against teams that are either out of your caliber or that you haven't prepared for as much as people in your district. So I wouldn't panic yet, but then once we see how they play in the first district game, I'll answer your question.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's everything you just said is extremely fair. Not time to panic until we get into district. And then once you start losing those games that have direct playoff implications, yeah, everybody, it's the SpongeBob meme inside his brain. Everything's on fire.
And just like this, you got 2 more weeks till district play starts for Temple. You have a non-district game next week and then a district-wide bye. So it's still some time for the Wildcats. Let's drop to 4A. La Vega, 48 hours notice, no problem. 60-something to nothing on the road. Thoughts on the Pirates? Is this just La Vega doing La Vega things?
Yeah, it's definitely La Vega doing La Vega things. They have no problem beating anyone. Didn't they beat a 6A school in week 1? So I think they could have an opponent come at them and they don't really need to prepare. They just dominate they put up 60 points, held them to 0 points. Offense and defense, both explosive. Don Hyde has no problem there. We will see them all the way till the end of the season, I would say. You don't even need to talk about it. If you put up 60-something points and hold the other team to 0, no matter how, I don't know much about this team, but no matter how bad or good a team is, if you hold them to 0 points, that says a lot about how you play on both sides of the ball. So 10 out of 10 for La Vega this season already.
Okay, so let's wrap up big picture with Baylor talk real quick because we've got Greg Jacobs on hold real quick. Buy or sell on Baylor tomorrow. What are we buying? What are we selling in the Texas State game? I will go first. Okay. I'm selling the offense. I have too many questions about the offense, mostly because of a lack of consistency. I'm buying Terrell Bernard. I think he's a difference maker in the middle.
I'm buying the defense. Dave Aranda, second year, that's going to improve. It was already on that track last year, but let's not overreact. This is not a tough opponent in week 1.
No.
So this should be an easy, secure dub with no issues.
Exactly.